we are continuing. We just introduced last week the book of Numbers and just got started with the book of Numbers. Um, and so we had gone through a portion of the slide, talked about how God numbered starts this book with numbering the people, and that's largely where the name is derived. We see uh, two primary numberings of the people that go on in this particular book. But there are some other areas where numbers end up becoming and being significant during this story. And so there's a bit of a subtext, but the larger reason are those numberings. And one of the things that correlations that I wanted to draw there is the idea of God ordering his people, because that's going to be a running theme throughout this book. A challenge that Israel has is challenging God's order. And so, what's one of the biggest problems we have with the church, and not just the church truly, but all of those who identify themselves as Christians? What is the problem? Yes.
Well, first, if I remember right, last week you were saying that the process of numbering assigns them a place and the knowledge that they have a job to do. So therefore, I would assume that we have a place in God's kingdom and we have a job to do.
Indeed, indeed. And so, yeah, I did mention that. Just more broadly talking about the order concept, one of our big problems with people who identify as Christians is following God's order. That doesn't begin with us, it began with Israel. We should learn something from Israel's problems. I'm going to come right back to what you said. Sister Buttry.
I was talking to myself.
Oh, all right. Did you get an answer to your question? Okay. All right. But yes, the way God ordered the people, and as the tribes, each tribe took account of its number. Now, there are a whole lot of lessons that we can gather from this. One of the biggest challenges we have today with the church is the idea of just membership. We don't like ordered religion anymore. That's a reality. So the idea of becoming a member at a congregation is something that we rebel against now. Why? Well, it's a little easier to be able to come and go when there is not that accountability one to another directly. But that it doesn't stand the logic test when you read your Bible and you see congregations holding people accountable. Why is it that Paul told those in Corinth? I think you might have raised this last week, that had the man who had his father's wife, he obviously was in sin, but Paul holds who accountable? The members. He doesn't point to members at some other place. He's a member there. You need to deal with it. And that's where our biggest problem comes in, is with that membership becomes authority and the ability to discipline. But that is exactly what he told them there. Yes.
And I'm not disparaging our friend who visits here every few weeks, but there are a lot of people who don't place membership and they visit around and they think it's okay.
Yes.
And I don't think it is. I think you need to belong to a congregation.
Yeah, my prayer for people is that they do visit. I'd rather they visit than not visit. And find a place to commit to. Because that's what that lacks, is commitment. You are not going to call on a person who is visiting and you see, once a month or once every couple of months, you're not gonna call on them for anything any local needs. There is no commitment there. That's a reality. So again, you're not disparaging, I'm not disparaging, but I will always encourage and have encouraged directly. This is a good place to be, but it's for everyone, each individual to decide. I don't ever want to try to take that away, and so if you can't make that commitment, then keep coming. I'm not saying please don't come. I'm just saying, let's look at God's order of things. Look at it through the history. And all of it means accountability. In being numbered with a tribe, you had a place, right? Each tribe had a place around the tabernacle. Look at the order that God had. And he still maintained it as it spread throughout the world. Everybody, every Christian is meant to have a place. That is a principle that we can get out of this. Yes.
And without having that, that's a mechanism people use to pull back from the church, and they say, I'm visiting around, and then they're only attending once every other week, and then once a month, and then, wow, they haven't been around in years. So you don't have a safety net protecting you also.
Yeah, and it's also been enabled even more with online.
Yep.
We're broadcasting now. You can stay home and view, and if you get something out of it, you might feel that's good, and it is good. I pray if anyone is just staying home and watching online only, that they are getting something out of it. But the fullness of being a Christian is not just about what you get out of it. It's what you're contributing, what you're putting in. And that's not really possible in that format. But since COVID, we have even more people who feel like the order and the idea of, well, I'm going to come, I'm going to make that commitment of actually going in person somewhere and being accountable, and someone calling on me and them knowing what I'm doing, and me not being able to maintain my private life. It's harder to maintain a private life as a Christian. That's just true. People know you, Brother Thar.
I mean, I know it's a cliche when you say the more you put into something, the more you get out of it, but it's absolutely true. The more you engage, if you're looking, I want something from the church, then engage, because you'll get more back. You really do. Like there's a saying that the more you give, the more you get. If you're a giving person and stuff like that, you realize that you get stuff back from doing that.
Okay,
So,
I'm slowing class down by engaging this, but it's an important principle. Okay, so I commit and I put more in, and what I get out of it is offended by some member, and the headache of having to get up in the morning and come together. And yeah, I'm getting a lot out of it. I'm getting a lot of grief out of being a member.
And doesn't that feel great?
It's true though. If you are going to be a member of a body, you are going to be offended. Now tell me who in here has a family member that hasn't offended them. That's just comes with the territory. Thing is, we're born with family, and we voluntarily will have to take part in this. And for some people, it's not worth the headache.
That's sad, because the benefits are so much greater than I don't know why you're arguing against this, but.
Because I really do want to deal with it honestly, because there are people who feel this way. And I just want to put it out there. In spite of all of that, this is what you should do. Why? One, because this is the order that God sets. We see it in the New Testament. We see it. We see it beginning earlier in the Old Testament. We see it beginning even earlier than that with the patriarchs. We see order with God's people. That's the number one reason to do it. Number two, you'll get a great deal out of it. Now, maybe you believe that. Maybe you'll have to try it and see. But you'll get a great deal out of it. So, anyway, yeah, I'm not really arguing against it, just for the record. But this is a grand principle we get, and we will see how people rebel against that order constantly through the book of Numbers. In Exodus 19, verse 5, now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed and keep my commandments, what was that a condition? If you will obey my voice and keep my commandment, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. And this is a passage we like to quote when it's convenient for us. Let all things be done decently and in order. Don't we love to quote this particular passage? But only when it suits us. But part of that order may not be something we like and want to do. And so then, it's our liberty, or I don't see it, or things of that nature. This is the problem Israel had, and this is a problem that persists to this day. In Numbers 5, beginning at verse number 1, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, command the children of Israel that they put out of the camp every leper and every one that hath an issue, and whosoever is defiled by the dead, both male and female shall ye put out. Without the camp shall ye put them, that they defile not their camps in the midst whereof I dwell. And the children of Israel did so, and put them out without the camp. As the Lord spake unto Moses, so did the children of Israel. This is something this something we should be following today? If someone's sick, should we put them out of the camp? Who would be here today if So what's going on here? What is God teaching? Because again, throughout the Old Testament, these are lessons that are being taught. What is God teaching? Yes.
Keep the church pure,
That's it.
basically.
That's it. And during this time, you had a close connection with sin and illness. There was that connection. Why? It was a teaching tool. We see that. We see later when Jesus encounters a man born blind, how they were still applying this. And Jesus is saying, no, that's not what's going on here. But there was that connection under the Old Testament. We see it. And God is showing, look, that sickness, that impurity, that is going to be out of the camp. Now, how is that going to be out of the camp? Unless you know who belongs to the camp. Again, order. That's what this book continues to talk about, order. God was in the midst of them, and sin and uncleanness could not be ignored. That's what was being taught here. That principle remains today. Now, if someone comes here and they're ill, we're not telling them, oh, you can't be a member here. Don't take that away. But do take the idea away of sin and uncleanness. That is not welcome in God's kingdom. So I've got two options. As I sin, what are my two options? Repent or continue at where? Out there. repent and stay here, or continue to sin, continue in my sin out there. Those are the options. Proper options, right? Now, if I repent, I'm clean. I'm no longer a leper. I'm no longer ill. I'm clean. I can remain in the camp. Very clear, very easy to understand, but also a bit harsh for people, because people want to sin, but not out there. They want to remain in here. So it doesn't, I can't get both things that I want, if I understand this correctly. Brother Tharp.
Yeah, I was going to say there's really another option, and that's to sin secretly. You might think that you're still in, and physically might be, but spiritually you're outside.
In one way or another, that it's the only option. Maybe it's revealed, maybe God knows. Like we said there, I gave a lesson I think last year about that, where people are walking, thinking they're with God, and they've left God. God is no longer with them, and we see so many examples of that. So we may be really good at hiding our sin from one another, but it is impossible to hide it from God. So holiness is still required today. In Leviticus 20, verse 7, sanctify yourselves therefore and be ye holy, for I am the Lord your God, and ye shall keep my statutes and do them. I am the Lord which sanctify you. In 1 Peter 1:15, but as he which hath called you is holy, so be ye holy in all manner of conversation, because it is written, be ye holy, for I am holy. God gives the basis. If you're going to be one of his, you must be holy. What's one of the reasons God works with us in the way that he does? I've often said, I don't understand why God did the plan that he did. That's just me being honest. I don't understand it. If it were me, I'd just make everybody holy. Program them to be holy. God has his purpose. But what we do know, what I do understand, is God has always worked with man with the idea of inspiring him to choose holiness. That I can see clearly throughout the scripture, from the beginning to the end. Here's Adam, here's Eve, here's the one area of sin that is identified, and it's placed right in the middle. My son goes to kindergarten, and one of the first times he's without mom and dad around restricting him. And parents, it's not good to always restrict your children. I learned the hard way some of these things. And they have Oreo cookies, and he eats as many as he can eat. Why? Because no one was there to restrict him. He always had mom and dad to restrict him. So he eats and he eats and he eats. And the evidence was all over as he was sick and we had to pick him up. Now he learned a lesson, that's true, but without the restriction, he just continued on. God gives us free will. And he allows us to suffer consequences so that we learn. We need to learn how to choose. Now again, why did God do it this way? I don't know. I've heard all sorts of theories. I'm just going to be honest. I don't know. My mind is not high enough to reach that of God's, but he does demonstrate to us the fact that his goal is for us to choose holiness. He doesn't want us to die. He doesn't want destruction. It's not this game that's being played. It is, he desires all men to be saved. We just have to make the choice. So God guides Israel. Verse 15 of Numbers 9. And on the day that the tabernacle was reared up, and the cloud covered the tabernacle, namely the tent of testimony, and even there was upon the tabernacle, as it were, the appearance of fire until the morning. So it was always, the cloud covering it by day and the appearance of fire by night. And when the cloud was taken up from the tabernacle, then after that the children of Israel journeyed. And in the place where the cloud abode, there the children of Israel pitched their tent. At the commandment of the Lord, the children of Israel journeyed, and at the commandment of the Lord they pitched. As long as the cloud abode upon the tabernacle, they rested their tents. Now, this one is a very, very clear teaching. Go where God says to go and stop when God says to stop. Brother Tharp.
Yeah, what was this pillar?
It was a pillar of cloud in the daytime and fire at night.
You're describing it, you're not telling me what it was.
That's all I have. That's all I've got. If you're talking about the manifestation of it, then now, is it God himself? No, it represents God, obviously. And one of the confusing things that Israel had is the idea of identifying certain things as being God himself, as if God were bound by the physical. But why would God give us physical representations in a situation like this?
Because we need the physical, we need to see.
We need to see. And whatever this is, it is not natural. It is awesome. It'd be understandable for people to say, wow, that's God. And it is meant to be that representation, but it wasn't meant for man to take it so far as to think, okay, God is only in the tabernacle. That's why Paul had to correct that in Acts 17. Look, that's not what's going on here. That's what you guys think you see. That's not what's happening. But it was meant to be a physical representation guiding them. And God did guide his people. What is it? What is the principle we take away? It's an obvious one, yes.
Well, I often anyways, the Old Testament we're children, and this is God leading us by his hand, where now we follow him by faith. But we so much see in the Old Testament where he physically guides them because they haven't got it yet, But what does it represent? It represents us following God's will.
Indeed. God indeed is guiding us today, and absolutely. Again, some of those lessons in the Old Testament are much more heavy-handed than we have today. Who's better off? Were they? Are we? We know we are because we have Christ, but from the standpoint of, like, which one was more difficult? I'd imagine if you could have both groups standing there, they'd point at each other. You guys have it better, and you guys knew exactly when to go and when not to go. How much did we labor over, do we move buildings? Do we go here or do we go over there? Wouldn't it be great if we had a pillar of cloud over this building when we came to it and said, that must be the place for us. So it's, grass is always greener, it's easy to look at that. But we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that God is guiding us today. And we must follow. Now, if you're looking for that pillar, if you're looking for that burning bush, if you're looking for those physical manifestations, then you're looking in the wrong place. Where should you look for God's guidance? His Word, the Bible. And we're willing to look all over the place. Come on, read all of these different stories about people that see signs here and signs there. I get asked about them often. And people are surprised because I don't put much stock in them. It's not that I don't believe in them. It's not that I do believe in them.
I mean, Jesus in the toast isn't real.
In the toast, in the shroud, I don't put much stock in it. Now, I don't have all the answers for all of those things, but I know where to look. And I know I can spend a lifetime looking here. So why chase is that structure, that blip on some sensor, the ark within some mountain? Why do I care? I can read about the ark, and I could read all the relevant information about the ark. Brother Young, did you have a comment? Oh, okay. So we won't follow God because we won't look to where he's giving us guidance. That'll be the problem. Psalm 32, verse 8, I will instruct thee and teach thee in the way which thou shalt go. I will guide thee with mine eye. In Romans 8, verse 14, for as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. We see both Old Testament and New Testament. God says, I'm going to lead you. I'm going to guide you. Stop me if I overlook you. Just let me know. Numbers 11, verse number 1. And when the people complained, it displeased the Lord, and the Lord heard it, and his anger was kindled, and the fire of the Lord burnt among them, and consumed them that were in the uttermost parts of the camp. And the people cried unto Moses when Moses prayed unto the Lord. And when Moses prayed unto the Lord, the fire was quenched. And he called the name of the place Taberah. Mixed multitude that was among them fell a lusting, and the children of Israel wept again and said, who shall give us flesh to eat? And we remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. But now our soul is dried away. There is nothing at all beside this manna before our eyes. Who's going to give us all of the fish and that we had in Egypt? And remember the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the beatings and the torture and the punishment and the forced labor. They stopped short of all of that, right? Now, remember all of this? It was good. Now, who among us hasn't, Brother Tharp?
You're probably just going to say it, but that is very much us all the time. We are always wanting more, and I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like as a people, we don't thank God enough. I know in every prayer we say thanks, but it just feels like we don't thank him enough for everything we have. I mean, I try to emphasize that all the time, be thankful for him, for everything he's done for us, but we tend to just think about the things we don't have.
Yeah, I think on your handout, I changed this to murmuring, revealing an ungrateful heart. And the reason for that is just saying the danger of complaining as I have it here, I should have changed it on the slide, is it's not just about complaining. It's about what's in your heart. So sometimes we act like, well, as long as we don't say it, we're okay. But again, it's what's in your heart. All they were doing was letting out of them what was in them. And that's really the problem. Now, I can eat the same food every single day. I do. I have a bowl of cereal every morning. I've had bran cereal every morning since I was, I don't know how old. It was Raisin Bran, and then then they said, well, too much sugar in that, so just bran. One way or another, it's been bran cereal for a long time, since I was a child. and I eat it every day, and it's okay. It's not a problem. Now, I recognize that's not normal. A lot of people like variety in their food. So when I read this and I think, look, they had no work to do and God fed them, what's the problem? But I do conceptually understand they had the same thing all the time. All the time. What would we do? Complain. We would. We wouldn't focus on the fact that God is literally feeding us. Instead, we would focus on, yeah, I'm sick of this. I'm so tired of this food, I don't know what to do.
It's easy to understand this one because you're absolutely right. If we could only have the same McDonald's breakfast every morning, or brand cereal, or whatever it is, we would complain. We would.
Yeah, I would be in the hospital complaining if I had the same McDonald's.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was one we can definitely relate to. But I do want to point out, it's not the idea of having a legitimate. There are legitimate complaints, things that may be affecting you, that may be troubling you. We call those complaints. And sometimes we act like that's the problem. That's not a problem. But failing to acknowledge God, that's the problem. And that's what they're doing here. They are looking back and saying it was better before God freed us than now. That is a problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
As Christians, well, not even Christians, all people, to be happy in this life is to accept where you are. I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't have ambition, but if you accept what you have, all kinds of studies have found out that you're a happier person.
Yeah.
And
Content.
Just be content. And that's when we're being a little bit ungrateful.
Yes. However, our society teaches us almost from birth
The opposite.
the opposite. We should strive for more. We should strive for great things. A little is not enough. That is what we're taught. So this is a battle we're fighting against our day-to-day livelihood, our day-to-day living, everything that's ingrained in us. In school, our reason for pushing children to go to universities is what? Make more money. That's really what it is, right? We tell them, oh, you do something great and you'll be making a lot of money, right? Don't hear a whole bunch of people telling their children, oh, become a minister. Don't hear that a whole lot. Lawyer, doctor, oh, that's very good. These are very good things because we teach the motivation of education is to make a lot of money. Yes.
And yet we see that when people do something for another reason, they decide to dedicate their life to helping other people or some NGO or whatever, that they tend, even though sometimes it's dangerous and hard life, they tend to be happier. Yeah. So the greed is good thing is not the way we should be living.
No. And as Christians, maybe, we have some accountability for that. Maybe our teaching should be the idea of contentment a little bit more than maybe what we do. I get to hear it directly expressed to me a lot of times because I'm meeting a lot of different people and I talk to them, and especially at our language exchange, there's a lot of rotation, and I get to talk to them about my history. And you were a software engineer and you went full-time into the ministry. I can't tell you how many confused people there are. Sometimes it's just a question mark over their head. Sometimes I get people who will tell me directly, I just can't understand that. They just can't.
Are you happier?
But I'm definitely happier with what I'm doing as a minister because I feel like it's more meaningful. The software engineering was much more lucrative, but didn't really have meaning at the end of the day. Doesn't mean anything's wrong with it, of course. We've earned a living and things of that nature. But if you're talking about fulfillment, doing something worthwhile, I'm finding to be way more fulfilling. Brother.
God is binary. Now, there's only two ways to go, down or up, binary.
Yeah, that, there's a whole thing about that. I don't want to get into it, but yes, that is true. But though, God is very black and white. He's very binary. He's very good and evil, and that is absolutely true. Brother Young, and then we're gonna bring today to a close.
You say that why not that many people want to be preacher? There are many people who wants to be preacher. Aren't you getting a second private jet?
Yeah, I've said a gospel minister. I know there are those out there preaching an alternate form and seeking their own, and even those are few and far between, relatively. But yeah, no, that it's true though. Those who become preachers today are still seeking. They're doing that in the name of God, but they're still seeking wealth rather than seeking contentment. And contentment is something that needs to be sought. You need to look for it. It's not necessarily natural. I believe the natural thing is to look at someone else's, what someone else has, and say, I want that. But seeking contentment will lead to contentment. So I do want to bring these last couple of up. What was
I was
that?
gonna say, it is one of the 10 Commandments, covet. Don't be covetous, and what is that? That's greed.
Yeah. But, we know it's true. A lot of times, even in ourselves, what's the source of us wanting something? We see, it may not be our neighbor directly, it may be the television that shows us something. We lived without it before, but we can't live without it after. For me, it was always a faster computer. Always. I'd get a faster one, and I was happy. This is all the speed I ever need. I will never need more. Giving me a few months. And this thing seems so slow. It hasn't slowed down. I just want more. That's our reality, but usually it's from seeing more. So we have to seek contentment. And I do want to read these couple of scriptures. Neither murmur ye, as some of them also murmured and were destroyed of the destroyer. Now all these things happened unto them for examples, that they are written for our admonition, upon whom the ends of the world are come. We need to understand this is all written for our teaching. Philippians 2:14, do all things without murmuring and disputings, that ye may be blameless and harmless, the sons of God, without rebuke, in the midst of the crooked and perverse nation, among whom ye shine as lights in the world. Doesn't matter that the rest of the world is out there with the hustle, trying to get as much as they can get. That's not for you, and you are meant to stand out. People look at you as being a little bit weird. You're content with what you have. That's okay. It's okay for them to look at you a little bit weird. You're meant to stand out. That's what